2 weeks ago, Steve Partridge did a really good presentation on his home studio, the equipment that he uses, the software, and he demonstrated the software by playing a song that he'd recently written, and that went down really well. And the whole of the meeting carried on in talking about recording studios, recording software, etc., and it was quite a lively session. So I thought I'd do a session on home recording studio setup, from basic to an advanced setup. This will be covering hardware and software. First, we start to look at the basics and what you actually need. Laptop or PC is preferable, and this can be a Windows or a Mac PC, it doesn't really matter. A microphone, either USB or a 3.5mm jack plug mic, 3-door software, that's the software you use to record, and closed back headphones, and they are fairly important, that the set of headphones you choose. Following that, we go on to the next step, where you can add an audio interface, a microphone with an XLR cable, upgrade your digital audio software to a paid version. I'll be looking at a couple of different versions a bit further on. Advanced setup, you can add a MIDI keyboard, a controller, you can add a mixer, active studio speakers, which John Dunstall actually touched on in the meeting a couple of weeks ago. Well, first of all, look at the hardware and the microphones. And you can start off with a fairly cheap microphone from about £5 up to about £30 with a mic stand. And here we've got one with a 3.5mm jack, USB connection, and one with an XLR connection. If you are going down the road of recording studio and you're going to be a fairly serious user, then you need to start to research what type of mics you're actually going to use, because there are some really good ones out there and some really bad ones. Next is an audio interface to connect your microphone to your PC, and we're looking at two manufacturers, PreSonus and Focusrite. On the left you've got the PreSonus AudioBox 96. On the rear of this it has two MIDI ports, so if you're adding a MIDI controller or MIDI keyboard, you can actually connect that straight in. The Focusrite Solo doesn't have this MIDI capability, so you'd have to go for the Focusrite Scarlett. Cost of these interfaces are around about £80 for either one of these. Steve Partridge, during his session, talked about the bundle that he got, which included an interface, a microphone, headphones, and the software, which is PreSonus Studio One Artist version 3. Andy Street has the Focusrite setup, but he doesn't have the bundle. But their bundle includes an interface, the headphones, and a microphone, but you've unfortunately got to go out and buy the software for that. Further down the road, you might like to add a mixer, so you can add more bits and pieces into your setup, and mixers generally start new to about £60 up to a few £100. And eBay is quite a good area to find some decent mixers. I use a mixer that cost me about £60 off eBay, and it's a 12-channel mixer and quite a good one. John Dunstall touched on studio speakers and the need for using studio speakers against earbuds or headphones. You're going to get a more natural sound, and it's your ears that are going to start to work out the mix and the best possible mix. You can pick headphones up that sound okay, but some can be very bassy, some can be very, very trebly, so it's actually getting a really good balance, and studio speakers are by far the best thing to buy. Next we start to look at software, and first piece of software is called Audacity, and this started life off as an audio editor, and it's still used by people editing and doing podcasts, etc. But quite a few people start off with this to start recording their guitar or their vocals, etc. It can be a bit clunky, but it's free and it does what it says on the tin. It's not a bad piece of software. And I did a presentation on this about 18 months ago at the club. The next piece of software is one that Steve Partridge actually showed you, and it's Persona Studio One. And this is quite good. I use this myself. Dave Swan uses it as well. And if you went down the route of either buying this or getting the Presonus Prime demo, which has virtually all of the things in it, so that's for a 60-day period, we can actually give you some support. And it's just quite a nice piece of software. From there you can go to Reaper, which is what Andy uses. So once again, if you went down that route, Andy can give you quite a lot of support on that and help with trying to set that up, etc. During Steve's session, somebody said to me, is Linux covered? Have we got a recording section for that? And yes, there are quite a few, but LMMS is probably the one that stands out against the rest of the field. Linux is not really used by a lot of people in recording industry, or even whether it's at home or semi-professional. They normally use a PC or a Mac. The next thing is, how do we learn how to record and how to use these pieces of software? Well, YouTube has a wealth of videos on all sorts of different recording techniques and recording software. The manufacturers of Presonus, LMMS and Reaper have a really good set of learning videos on their website, and they're very well worth visiting. It's also club members can help you if you get stuck. Just drop somebody an email or give them a ring, and we'll be happy to help each other. That's what the club's all about. If you've gone to an advanced setup, then this is probably what your studio is going to look like. It's laid out, can be quite nice and fairly easy to use. There is quite a steep learning curve, but the same with anything, there's always going to be a learning curve. But with home studios there is quite a sharp learning curve, but it's not too hard once you get a few videos under your belt and you start to work out what's going on. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed the session and hope you get something out of this. If you want to ask any questions, we'll ask them at the end of the session, or you can email me, etc. Thank you very much.